The Dallas Cowboys defense played one of the worst games I've seen in recent memory. And we did a breakdown on the run defense, but we will not let the pass defense off the hook, whether if it was man coverage or zone coverage. This whole unit wasn't on the same page, and they need to figure this out and fast. So when you're taking a look at the Cowboys pass defense against the Packers, we run a lot of cover one, we'll run some cover three. We try to mix some things up to make the offense confused. But when you have a team that's successful in the run game and they have an athletic quarterback that can be able to roll out, sometimes that forces the linebackers and the secondary into mistakes. And that's exactly what happened on this rep. So on this play, you got the outside wide receiver. He's going to be running a corner route and he's going to keep Deron Bland busy. Christian Watson's going to be running a crosser route and he's going to be guarded by Stephon Gilmore. We couldn't stop the run all game. So this is going to be a play action pass. They're going to be faking the ball to the right side and they're going to have Jordan Love going to the left. And looking at our linebackers, they're going to read the quarterback. He's going to roll to the left side and it's going to throw these guys off. And Luke Musgrave is going to be running a drag route and nobody's going to pay attention to this guy. And he's going to see a green light and he's going to take it to the sideline and he's going to be wide open. And this is the stuff that you don't need when it comes down to this defense. And whenever you can be able to run the ball well throughout the game and you have an athletic quarterback that can be able to roll out, they lick their chops when it comes down to these coverage zones, because if these quarterbacks can be able to buy more time, they can find holes in his defense. And that's exactly what they did. So we'll go ahead and run it. As you can see, he's faking the ball. And watching the linebackers, those guys just bite. Seeing guys like Jordan Love, he's rolling to the left side. And just looking at these linebackers, not paying no attention to Luke Musgrave, just focusing in on Jordan Love, and he's just buying more time. And this guy, Luke Musgrave, I mean, he is completely by himself. Jordan Lewis, he's locked in on Aaron Jones, so he's not paying no attention to Luke Musgrave. And seeing guys like Stephon Gilmore following that crosser, that just leaves this tight end wide open. And this is what you don't want to see when it comes down to the film. But we got to break this kind of stuff down, Cowboys Nation, because this can be a coaching issue. Things like this can be a player issue. You don't want to see these kind of plays when it comes down to your linebackers, your cornerbacks. These guys got to be on the same page, because this by far was one of the most worst plays that I have seen from the Cowboys this season. And we got to clean things like this up. Just being on the same page, the linebackers and the secondary, and just getting to your assigned guy, it is critical, because if you don't do things like this is how the offense can get easy touchdowns. Micah Parsons is one of the athletes that has the ability to rush the passer from the left end or the right end. And he has the ability to be able to cover if needed. He can play the linebacker position and you can use this guy as a chess piece. But understanding what he's supposed to do in coverage zones is very important when it comes down to Dan Quinn's type of defense. So on this play here, the second wide receiver, he's going to be running a corner route. Throughout the game, they were running a lot of corner routes and crosser routes. So that third wide receiver is going to be running a crosser route just so he can be able to get that safety thinking. And that outside wide receiver is going to be running a deep dig route. And usually with that type of route, it is a cover three beater. So these linebackers got to make sure that they have enough depth, because if not, if the quarterback gets time, he will be able to hit him. So we're going to be sending 5, and Micah Parsons is going to be the guy that's going to be dropping in coverage. These guys got to be on the same page whenever they get into these zones, especially if we're not getting to Jordan Love in time. So we'll go ahead and run it. Micah Parsons, he's bluff blitzing, and you see that he's dropping in coverage. We were stunting on the play, but we didn't get any pressure on the quarterback. And locking in on Micah Parsons, he's backpedaling and he's seeing the quarterback rolling to the right. So that stopped him from backpedaling. But if you see this wide receiver, he's running that deep route right behind Micah Parsons. And I know with Deron Bland, he's assigned that sideline over there. But sometimes cornerbacks, they do lock in on those guys and try to cover them. But looking at Micah Parsons not being able to get enough depth, this is why you see holes in these type of coverages. And you got to be on the same page, because this is what they were doing all throughout the game. And with guys like Stephon Gilmore and Micah Parsons, these are the guys that are leaders on a team. So you got to be able to call things out. And if you can't be able to call things out, this is what opens up their whole playbook. And this is exactly what you don't want for the entire defense. Stephon Gilmore is one of the guys that I have a lot of respect for. He spin the block around this league. He's a gritty corner and he likes to get in your face. But when it comes down to guys like Dan Quinn, I didn't understand these guys playing off coverage so much. It kind of reminded me of when we played against Tyreek Hill and those guys, and I didn't like that at that time. You want to be able to have cornerbacks that can be able to press, and Stephon Gilmore, he fits that bill. He likes to get his hands on wide receiver. And this play was the opposite of that. So on this play here, their outside receiver, he's going to be motioning to the left and he's going to be running a crosser route. And we're going to be sending all 6 guys to get after the quarterback. The outside wide receiver is going to be running the seam route, and the guy that Stephon Gilmore is going to be guarding is going to be running an outside post route. And he caught this guy off guard. And throughout this whole game, I mean, these guys were running very, very crisp routes. Once they got to the top of their route, they was cutting on a dime. And these guys are very subtle route runners. So seeing this play right here with Gilmore being in off coverage like this is one of the reps I really didn't want to see because being able to just turn your hips, I mean, he's an older guy. And seeing plays like this, we just got to be able to position ourselves a lot more better. So we're going to run it. You see this guy's getting off the ball and he's getting to the top of his route right now. And you see that he's shuffling his feet. What he's trying to do is he's trying to break Stephon Gilmore down and he's forcing him to overthink, faking it to the outside. Next thing you know, Stephon Gilmore, he buckles and he cuts hard inside. And the thing is, you don't want to force Stephon Gilmore into these type of positions. And I'm not saying that this guy is a bad corner because he has made a lot of good plays throughout this year. But when you get older, a lot of times you can't get in and out of your breaks as quickly as you did in your first couple of years. You don't have those well-oiled hips like you used to. And usually when you have these corners, you want these guys getting their hands on these wide receivers. So these are the type of plays that we don't need to see. And if the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to have success in the postseason, bringing in guys from the draft and free agency is a must. And with this type of performance that they did against the Packers in the first round, this leaves everybody on notice, including the veterans. So on this play here, number 11 is going to be motioning to the right, and he's going to be running the wheel route. And with Damone Clark, he's going to be assigned that guy, so he's going to take off towards the sideline. And when you see the outside wide receiver, he's going to be running a post on this play. And with guys like Jordan Lewis, he's going to be going up against that guy in the slot. He's going to be running an inside out type of route. And when you see guys like Jordan Lewis, he's been doing pretty good this year, but he was having a lot of problems in the interior. Usually with this type of route and their type of route tree that they're running right now, it's designed to be able to stress out that slot corner. So making sure that you're on top of it and making sure that you have spacing is very, very important. And this is part of the reason why the Green Bay Packers offense has so much success. So we'll go ahead and spin it. So they're motioning and he's running that wheel route. And looking at that wide receiver going up against Jordan Lewis, he's going in the interior. He got inside leverage, and it looked like Jordan Lewis is holding him. But you see how this guy breaks on top of the ball. I mean, these guys were doing this all throughout the game, and they were stressing out our corners. And you see the separation that this guy had gained on Jordan Lewis. Being on top of things like that, knowing spacing, knowing what these wide receivers are trying to do. With guys like Jordan Lewis, Stephon Gilmore, and Deron Bland, they are all good cornerbacks. But the thing is, when you're going up against these wide receivers and you're playing for the Dallas Cowboys, these teams try to do all they can to be able to beat us. So they got to be on point. They have to have a great understanding on what these wide receivers are trying to do. And leverage and pre-snap alignments is very key when it comes down to this cornerback position. If you're not positioned well, this is how these cornerbacks can be in trouble. So on this final play here, it's going to be kind of like the last route, that inside out route, but it's going to be more of a deeper kind of route that he runs against Stephon Gilmore. But seeing these kind of plays, it just confuses me. They got one safety deep with the middle field closed. They got Javon Curse lined up at that free safety position like this guy can transition well. We know that he's a stiff runner. And usually when you're playing against these offenses, they lick their chops if they know they got a guy like Javon Curse who plays strong safety at the free safety position. It kind of reminds me of when we played against the Arizona Cardinals. They were doing the same thing and they were stressing him out. This play didn't happen against him. It was more about Stephon Gilmore, but just seeing the way that these guys are just playing off coverage and having guys like Javon Curse at that free safety position, it just confuses me and things got to change quickly, Cowboys Nation. So we'll go ahead and run it. So looking at Stephon Gilmore, he's already lined up outside of that wide receiver, and it seemed like that worked against him because this guy gets inside leverage, and it seemed like he was on a chase against that wide receiver. And seeing this guy on top of his route, just being able to break like that to get to the corner. I mean, this dude created so much separation. It seemed like it was about 15 yards of separation that this guy created. And this makes it so much easier for the quarterback. If you can be able to get a guy that can create separation like this, it just opens up everything for that offense. And seeing guys like Stephon Gilmore, I have a lot of respect for him, Deron Bland, and Jordan Lewis. But making sure that you put this guy in the right position. If you're going to be close like that, just press him at the line of scrimmage. Don't allow this guy free leverage in the interior and get to the top of his route and just have you overthinking. Little things like that. I mean, that can be a player issue, that can end up being a coaching issue, but we have to clean things up like this. We know that we have a very talented team, but the thing is, it's not always about talent. You got to build that chemistry. The coaches got to be on the same page with all of these players. When you're thinking about the linebackers, you don't want undersized guys getting washed out of plays. So you want to bring in stout guys at that linebacker position. Guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and the rest of the guys on the defensive line, you want to be able to stop the run because if you cannot stop the run, it opens up the whole playbook for the offense. Utilizing guys like Michael Parsons and getting the best out of Michael Parsons because he is the best athlete on this team. The secondary, making sure guys at the cornerback position are very athletic. So if you're picking up guys in free agency or inside the draft, pick up guys that can be able to go against these young dogs at wide receiver, not putting guys like Jaron Curse at free safety, knowing he is not that athletic. Little things like that is things we're going to have to clean up for this defense. And if they can't get this right, Cowboys Nation, we're going to have the same results. There are no excuses for these Dallas Cowboys, and it's time to win now. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification bell because the way the YouTube algorithm works, if you don't hit it, you'll miss on fire live streams and unique breakdowns. All right, Cowboys Nation, talk to y'all soon.